So they brought a lot of perspective to how they set up the compensation plan, which we'll talk a little more about later. And then I love the developing nations. Sorry for this typo there. How they are just truly changing lives. Hundreds of thousands of people in developing countries. That just makes my heart sing with the healing hands and the co-impact sourcing. That was one of the things that drew me to doTERRA the most when I first found it, was the incredible impact they're making on millions, literally millions of lives in third world countries especially, and here in the US. So they're paying the growers fairly. So this is what made all the difference for me when I first started in direct sales, is I saw this and it gave me a vision of what was going to be possible if I could just be consistent in the day-to-day things. And this is what I want you to see and understand. So this is, we're going to say this is based on having, if you're going to enroll 10 people a month, okay, 8 of them getting on LRP, which, I don't know, what's the statistic? Maybe 6 out of 10 is average, about 60% of people get an LRP. Is that about right? And then if you're going to find 2 builders a month. So if you're doing a class, one class a week, maybe a week where you do two classes, or you can do one-on-ones, we'll talk about that later. I want to show you the difference if you find 2 builders a month versus if you find 1.5 builders a month, okay? Yeah, which half of the builder are you bringing on? Okay, so this is after 3 months. You're going to have that many builders on your team, okay? So after, oh, it doesn't show how many months on that one. It went away. Okay, let's go to the next one. Sorry, the months went away in our slides, so I think this one is after 6 months? We'll keep going. So after 6 months, you can see the difference. If you're bringing on 2 builders a month versus 1.5 builders a month. Look, you're going to have 36 builders, 13. Okay, after a year, I believe this is a year, this one. 70 versus 23. And this again, every month you're just consistently sharing, and then one of those 6 builders is also going and duplicating what you're doing. Because let's be honest, not everybody's going to go and work this like you want them to, or like you'd like to. But the average, probably at least 1 in 6 will go and really work the business like you were working. Okay, go to the next slide. Yeah?
Can you tell them what LRP means?
Yes, it's your loyalty rewards program. Order. So just look at the 2 builder part for simplicity on the slides. Now this is what's so cool. Is there one more? The loyalty rewards order means you set up a program where you can order every month, and doTERRA, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but they'll give you, starts at an extra 10% back. It goes up by 5% every 3 months. So you max out at 30% back in free products, and that makes it so that you get basically 55% off of retail. It is cumulatively, you could look at it. So it really rewards the customers to keep ordering, and it helps make their products much more affordable, which is incredible. Okay, is there one more slide about we can always go back to it then. Okay, here we go. So this is after 18 months. This is what will happen if you consistently, every month, just share the products, every day, contact 2 people, follow up with 2 people, do at least 1 class a week, and you're bringing on 2 builders a month, and 1 out of 6 of those people you bring on starts to build. In 18 months, it's 274 builders in your organization. Now in doTERRA, you also enroll your customers. So we're going to multiply this by about 10, and you could potentially have 2,740 people in your organization if you consistently keep that up every single month. Just steady Eddie. Versus, now if you've only brought in 1.5 builders a month, look at the difference. You're going to have 62 builders and about 620 people in your organization, okay? So let me show you. We're going to have one more comparison here. But what if you only bring on 1 builder a month? So say I only maybe want to do 2 or 3 classes a month. Maybe you might find 1 builder between those classes. So you're not going to do quite as much, which is fine. This business is about you. What I love about it is you can fit it in your life however you want. Maybe you love your job and you're making a difference and you're passionate about it, and this just wants to be something you want to add in. So maybe you can only come up with 15 hours you're going to put into your business. So here's the difference. I just want you to see. So after your first month, after your first 3 months, that's what it's going to look like. And then 6 months, I think is the next one. Let's just keep going through. 9 months, a year, probably one more, 15 months, and then 18 months. So after 18 months, look at the difference here. 32 people, builders on your team, if you're just doing your 2 to 3 classes a month, bringing on 1 builder, versus if you're just doubling that, you're just doing an extra couple classes, you're bringing on 1 more builder, you're gonna have 274 people in 18 months. So maybe you're putting in 4 or 5 extra hours a week to make this happen, to do an extra class. to bring on an extra builder, but look at the difference. Would you say that investment is worth it of those 4 to 5 hours, right? Because you're gonna have more than quadruple the growth on your team. And that's what's so beautiful about the power of residual income and cumulative growth, right? What's the word that they use in financial planning? Kind of compounding, like compounding growth. It's a very similar concept. Anyway, so I saw this, and this is what really motivated me to put in the work, to not watch my favorite TV show anymore, to be willing to stay up once I got my kids to bed so I could get the work done, so I could be the mom, but that I could also put the work in. It's what drove me to do the extra time so that I could have this side. Because hey, it's only 4 or 5 more extra hours out of my week, and that was the best investment that I could have made. I feel so much better not having watched those TV shows because my life is totally different now because I did this instead. Anyway, so let's continue on. There's a couple more quotes I just wanted to share. Okay, perfect. A big thing in this industry. So I kind of showed you the vision, right, of what's possible and what can happen. And again, remember, you're going to multiply that by 10 in doTERRA because we're also adding in customers, which is incredible. And that's how their leaders are making such an incredible income. This is really, really key. Before I go into growth mindset, I'm going to only have 5 more minutes left, but the biggest thing that drew me to doTERRA was their retention. And let me see, is Heather going to talk about this, or is this me? I just don't want to talk about what Heather was planning on. Sorry, Heather. Okay, I think actually Heather's going to talk about it. Okay, Loyalty Rewards Program. I guess I was talking about that, sorry. Okay, I just don't want to overlap. Okay, the biggest thing that drew me to doTERRA was the retention. Coming from having worked the business, been in the industry for a long time, been very successful, pretty typical in the industry is about 10% retention. That means you bring in 10 people over the course of a few months, and guess what? 10% of them are sticking around, 90% are going out the door and not working the business, not staying in your life and your business anymore. So you're constantly having to replace. You're losing more people than you're bringing on. So the only people who can succeed in that kind of a business model, which is what I was in, is people that are rock star recruiters and leaders. You have got to be bringing it and working your tail off. Because 90% of the people you're bringing on are going out the door in a month or two. And the company I was with, it was even lower, the retention. And so doTERRA, their retention is 65% of customers and builders are ordering again and again and again. And if you look at who are ordering again within a year, it's actually over 80, it's about 80%. In my company, it was like 2% of people would order again within a year. So 80% versus 2%. So this is what is so magical. This is why doTERRA can bring freedom of time on a whole other level compared to most other companies out there in the industry. Because people stick around because the products work, because they're affordable, and because the company's incredible. They want to be a part of supporting someone who's doing such incredible things with what they've been given. And so this retention piece is just kind of the magic sauce. If you're in a company where your customers don't sign up for an account, which that was me. In my company, if a customer ordered, I had to go and put their order in for them. And so then my time was taken up by doing that. And I guess when I hired assistants, every year I would hire another person. I had 4 people working for me, helping to work my business so that I wasn't working for 40 or 50 hours a week. But I could never have freedom of time because I always had to handle those customers, all of them. Even if my assistants were helping, I still had to be involved, right? In doTERRA, because the customer gets their own account, they put in their own order. And they're incentivized and rewarded to order again and again and again, month after month. And guess what? Most companies, you go and you have to order $160 worth every month, or $100 worth, or $70 worth. In doTERRA, there is no minimum amount you have to order. So there's a place for everyone. Someone who's a college student on a tight budget, they can be in that Loyalty Rewards program. Because they can order something for $5, $10, $15, $20 a month. And that's great. And doTERRA is going to keep allowing them, if their order's over $50 for 50 personal PV, that allows them to start to build up, or use that extra discount of up to extra 30% back. Anyway, so that's what allows the freedom of time, and that's what I love about the way doTERRA is set up, is because all those customers have their own accounts, that frees up so much time for me to not have to handle all of that. I can support my leaders, and I can have time to do what else is in my heart to do as well. Okay, and last thing I was going to mention before we hear from James, if you take home anything about how to succeed in this business, the number one thing is what's in here. Learning to have a growth mindset. to think in a way that it's going to help bring about growth versus having a scarcity or a fixed mindset. Scarcity mindset says, Utah's too saturated. Guess what? Utah County is the most saturated county in the world. There's 3.5% of people there that are in doTERRA. There's 97% of people that do not have an account and don't have doTERRA. That's huge. And that's the most saturated in the world. So a fixed mindset says it's too saturated, everybody knows about it. A growth mindset says it's wide open, right? And that's just from the most saturated place. Across the whole world, there's a ton. Anyway, so this just kind of gives you some ideas of what it looks like to be in a growth mindset. What it looks like to learn to work your business and live your life in a way that you can receive abundance and achieve and make a difference. And if you kind of see yourself on that side, just think about which one am I? And if you are over here, which a lot of times that's easy to do, right? A lot of times that's maybe how you were raised. Maybe you have family members in that place, right? What I love about this business is it's going to help you grow, and Angela will talk about this, more than you ever would have imagined, to grow personally, to grow as a person. Anyway, but it's powerful, what you think in your mind. So this one quote is what's kind of driven me all these years, to be willing to stay up sometimes, to be willing to do the hard things, to be willing to go outside of my comfort zone, to be willing to do things when I don't feel like doing it. I don't always feel like working. Not that I work all the time, but lots of times I'd rather go to bed. But I don't. Because successful people are simply willing to do those things that unsuccessful people are not willing to do. And if you can remember that one thing and choose to do the things that successful people do, you will have success. It's all about just what you're thinking and what you're doing, your attitude and your actions, right? Last quote, we're going to hear from James. And this is the other one. I'll be honest, like Rich said, sometimes it can be a little crazy, especially if you're working another job, if you have lots of kids, if you have babies, lots of little kids. It can be a little hard sometimes, right? But if you can just remember this mantra of too blessed to be stressed. It's impossible for your brain to be grateful and to feel stressed at the same time. Did you know that? Pretty cool. And this has really, so many times Rich has had to remind me when I'd be like overwhelmed or exhausted, especially when all the kids were home and little, and I was trying to juggle a little bit, and he would just remind me, too blessed to be stressed. So that can really be a powerful thing to remember as you move forward. Stay in a place of gratitude, and you'll be open to receiving all the abundance that's coming to you as you are doing the things that successful people do. We're going to hear from James Bybee now. So thank you guys for letting me share. And James has an incredible story. I'm really excited for you guys to hear from him. He is a ball of light and energy and enthusiasm. He's exuberant. I think that's a perfect word for him. And we're so blessed. He's presidential 9, and we're so blessed he got to come share.
If you are a fan, or ever were a fan, or know Chris Farley, you probably heard his skit about being a motivational speaker, living down by the van, down by the river. I don't have quite the girth that he does, but it's just something that rings true to my life, the life of my family for a period of time. So we discovered essential oils when we were living in a van down by the river. And we lived in, well, it wasn't quite a van, but it was close. So we got, a little trailer that's like basically 3 pieces that kind of go like this. Okay, so basically you got these roads that do like a figure 8 through the park. And basically it was an old RV park, right? And this was it was in a thicket. All trees, everything. This guy bought a big piece of land. There's a little stream, a little river that goes back here, so it's a van down by the river, and that's what it felt like. It was cramped, tiny little place that we lived in, but we made do. So somebody then sends me a little round bottle of, hold on. A little round bottle of oil, essential oil from plants. We talked about that. If you haven't seen these, you soon will. Essential oil changes people's lives. Somebody calls us, sends it to us. I don't really know what it is. Put it in my mouth, it knocks me on the floor. Then we get follow-up from an individual who happened to be my sister-in-law, a woman named Goddard. She's an amazing person. She says, essential oils, they will change your life. They're amazing, they're awesome. And we were like, uh-huh. Now, we were a little bit open because we used herbs. She said, look, you really need to look at this. And we said, no. Try this again. And we said, no. She tried us again, and we said, no. Thick skulls, man. And, we also, she was also telling us, over time as we're talking, that, hey, you know what's cool is that they do change lives. We can introduce some people, and the product really works. But guess what? You can, if you want, you can change people's lives financially because there's the ability to create an income with it. And we thought, oh no, not one of those. And of course, fear takes over. Fear never has product right there, works great, it's awesome. Opportunity, as we have been looking, we're living in a van down by the river. Meanwhile, essential oils are knocking on our door. Hello, hello. And we're saying, no, it can't be that. We start having these experiences with being able to change and deal with the health of our children much easier than we ever were with herbs. So we got excited. Well, I did. My wife did. She couldn't get over the whole income part of it. But for me, I got excited because now I started to see that this could be an income piece. But I had to fail a little bit first to figure this out. I decided I'm going to go for it. So finally, I'm going to say yes, my sister. Okay? And she, in the meantime, is having great success as well. So she's trying to help me have success. Says you need to have an event where you can educate people about essential oils. I'm going to send an expert out to you. I'm like, great. I had no idea who it was. Turns out it was this really world-renowned expert that travels the world on essential oils. In a little hotel room, I go all over the place. And I put out flyers, I go to businesses, I talk to holistic people. Everyone I meet, I give them, talk to them about it, invite them. Now, again, I didn't probably invite the people I really should have invited, were the people that I had direct connections to and that I knew because, what? Fear cropped in, right? But I went out and told everyone else. And I knew hundreds of people were going to show up. We went 7 o'clock, we get ready, 7 o'clock, no one's showing up yet. No one's ever on time. 7:15, people are getting home from work, eating dinner, they'll be here. 7:25, nobody. That was the first experience that I had in trying to help people become educated about essential oils. I made it my passion after that, though. I decided not to quit. I knew I could fail, but still succeed. And people I knew who succeed fail a lot before they succeed. So I didn't quit. And eventually, my wife had her own stories about the essential oils, her own experiences, that led her to start telling everybody about essential oils. And instead of doing a hotel room, instead of bringing in an expert, at least not Dr. Hill,